Good afternoon, I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. Welcome to MidDay Prime. In the next 1 hour, we bring you all the stories and updates from India and across the world. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, as we speak, is on his way to France, first leg of the three-nation visit. Back home, after much drama, Congress leader P Chidambaram was finally arrested by the CBI last night in the INX Media case. We'll talk about the road ahead for him. All that and more. Let's begin with the big news at this hour. Prime Minister Narendra Modi embarks on a three-nation visit to France, UAE and Bahrain. Today, Prime Minister to arrive in France and will hold bilateral talks with French President Emmanuel Macron. PM says the visit reflects strong strategic partnership which the two nations deeply value and share. Further setback for Pakistan's attempts to internationalise Kashmir issues ahead of PM Modi's France visit. French Foreign Minister says Kashmir issue is a bilateral issue between the two countries. Kashmir returns to normalcy. All primary and middle schools reopen in Kashmir. Daytime restrictions eased and landline telephones functional in most parts of the region. Former Union Minister P Chidambaram to be produced before Rouse Avenue Court in Delhi today. He is in CBI custody in INX Media case. MNS chief Raj Thackeray appears before the Enforcement Directorate in Mumbai. He has been summoned in connection with a probe into an alleged irregularity relating to loans and equity investment by IL&FS. The 24th meeting of Western Zonal Council underway in Panjim under the chairmanship of Union Home Minister Amit Shah. Chief Ministers of Gujarat, Maharashtra and Goa and administrators of Daman and Diu, Dadra and Nagar Haveli also attending the meet. And in sports, first test of the two-test series to be played between India and West Indies under the ICC World Test Championship at Sir Vivian Richards Stadium in North Sound, Antigua. Let's begin with our top story. Former Union Minister P Chidambaram is set to be produced before the Rouse Avenue Court in Delhi anytime from now. The high drama unfolded as the CBI arrested him in the INX Media case yesterday from his residence. Chidambaram was taken to CBI office where questioning in connection to the probe takes place. The arrest took place hours after Chidambaram failed to get any immediate reprieve from the Supreme Court. The drama started with Chidambaram making an dramatic appearance at the Congress headquarters where he addressed a press conference and claimed innocence. As Chidambaram reached his residence, the CBI team also followed the former Union Minister. After spending about 50 minutes inside his house, the probe teams took Chidambaram into custody. He was arrested, reached CBI head office where the leader was formally arrested. And my colleague Neeraj is joining us from the newsroom in fact, from the CBI headquarters with more updates. Neeraj, much drama took place yesterday at P Chidambaram's residence, and now he could appear at the CBI court anytime. What is the road ahead for the Congress leader?
देखिए बिल्कुल शुभेंदु, उनसे जो पूछताछ है वो अभी भी चल रही है और कुछ देर के बाद ही जो पी चिदम्बरम है उनको सीबीआई मुख्यालय से ले जाकर जो सीबीआई की स्पेशल कोर्ट है वहां पर लेके जाया जाएगा। आज सुबह 9 बजे के करीब जो सीबीआई की आईएनएक्स मीडिया केस को डील करने वाली टीम पहुंची थी और वो लगातार उनसे पूछताछ कर रही थी क्योंकि सीबीआई के पास कई सारे ऐसे अहम जो सबूत हैं जिनको चिदम्बरम इनकार नहीं कर सकते हैं क्योंकि सीबीआई ने इस जानकारी को पूरी तरह से पुख्ता कर लिया है कि किस तरह से आईएनएक्स मीडिया केस में जो पैसे लिए गए वो कैसे पैसे लिए गए और कहां पहुंचे, किस किस तरह से उसका प्रयोग किया गया। क्योंकि आईएनएक्स मीडिया पर जब सीबीआई की टीम रेड करी थी तो उस समय भी कई सारे कागजात सीबीआई की टीम ने जब्त किए थे। कुछ फाइलें थी जिनमें स्पष्ट तौर पर ये लिखा हुआ था कि आईएनएक्स मीडिया ने इस पूरे केस को हैंडल करवाने के लिए कार्ति चिदम्बरम की कंपनी को एक बड़ी रकम दी थी तो वो जो लिखित दस्तावेज है वो सीबीआई के पास है। इसके साथ ही कार्ति चिदम्बरम की जब गुड़गांव स्थित कंपनी पर सीबीआई की टीम ने रेड करी थी, तो वहाँ पर भी उसे कई सारे जो सबूत हैं वो मिले थे, कई सारे मेल मिले थे। इसके अलावा जो हार्ड डिस्क है वो सीबीआई की टीम ने वहां से बरामद की।
तो नीरज के कार्ति चिदम्बरम भी इंगेज्ड हैं, इन्वॉल्व हैं इस केस में, उसके बारे में थोड़ा बताएं। उनके जो बेटे हैं पी चिदम्बरम के, कार्ति चिदम्बरम, जिनकी जो कंसल्टेंसी है जो इंगेज है इस केस में, उन पे किस तरीके के चार्जेस हैं, अगर आप वो भी हमें बता पाएं।
देखिए, मैं बताता हूं सबसे पहले कि जब INX मीडिया केस का ये मामला सामने आया था, तो INX मीडिया को विदेशी रकम की जरूरत थी। उसके लिए उन्होंने क्या करा कि एक बड़े पत्रकार से संपर्क किया। उस बड़े पत्रकार ने पी चिदम्बरम से जो मुलाकात है वो पीटर मुखर्जी और इंद्राणी मुखर्जी की तय कराई। वो मुलाकात होती है नॉर्थ ब्लॉक में पी चिदम्बरम से। जब पी चिदम्बरम के सामने इंद्राणी मुखर्जी और पीटर मुखर्जी इस बात को रखते हैं कि उनको विदेशी निवेश चाहिए, तो आप किस तरह से हेल्प कर सकते हैं, तो उन्होंने ही इस बात का जिक्र किया था इंद्राणी मुखर्जी और पीटर मुखर्जी से कि आप कार्ति चिदम्बरम के पास जाइए, उसकी जो कंसल्टेंसी है वो उसको आप लीजिए। उसके बाद जो आपकी जो विदेशी जो निवेश है वो पूरी तरीके से हो जाएगा, किसी तरह की परेशानी नहीं आएगी। उसी के बाद जो नॉर्थ ब्लॉक में मीटिंग होती है पी चिदम्बरम के बाद, उसी के बाद दिल्ली के एक 5 स्टार में उसी दिन कार्ति चिदम्बरम के साथ मीटिंग होती है जो इंद्राणी मुखर्जी और पीटर मुखर्जी की। उसी में यह तय होता है कि ये जो डील है वो 305 करोड़ की जो डील है, विदेश से जो निवेश आना है INX मीडिया में वो आएगा। उसके लिए पी चिदम्बरम हेल्प करेंगे और कार्ति चिदम्बरम उसमें कंसल्टेंसी देंगे। और उसके एवज में एक बड़ी रकम जो कार्ति चिदम्बरम की कंपनी है कंसल्टेंसी स्ट्रेटेजिक लिमिटेड, उसमें जो रकम है वो ट्रांसफर की जाएगी। तो ये पूरा का पूरा ट्रेल था और कार्ति चिदम्बरम ने अपने पिता के वित्त मंत्री होने का जो फायदा है वो उठाया और कई सारे अधिकारियों को जो कह सकते हैं कि गलत काम के लिए उकसाया, क्योंकि इतनी बड़ी रकम के लिए आर्थिक मामलों की कैबिनेट कमेटी से परमिशन लेने की जरूरत थी, लेकिन ऐसा नहीं हुआ। और पी चिदम्बरम ने अपने पद का दुरुपयोग करते हुए अपने पद को कह सकते हैं कि कानून के दायरे से अलग हटाकर ये काम किया और बड़े पैमाने पर रकम को निवेश करवाया और उसके एवज में एक बड़े पैमाने पर एक रकम ली।
जी नीरज, कल जब कांग्रेस लीडर फॉर्मर मिनिस्टर पी चिदम्बरम अरेस्ट हुए और आज जब वो कुछ ही देर में सीबीआई कोर्ट में उन्हें पेश किया जाएगा, उस बीच क्या डेवलपमेंट्स हुई हैं? क्या उनसे क्वेश्चनिंग हुई है रात भर सीबीआई द्वारा? क्या जानकारी है उस पर?
देखिए, बिल्कुल जब उनको शाम को 8:30 बजे के करीब जब अरेस्ट कर लिया गया, उसके बाद मुख्यालय लाया गया। कई सारी जो फॉर्मेलिटीज़ हैं वो हुई हैं और उसके बाद जो डॉक्टरों की टीम आई थी उनका मेडिकल चेकअप हुआ। 1 बजे तक रात तक जो सीबीआई की जो टीम है उन्होंने उससे पूछताछ करी है, क्योंकि सीबीआई के डायरेक्टर यहाँ मौजूद थे, डीआईजी यहाँ पर मौजूद थे। इसके अलावा जो सीबीआई की वो टीम भी यहाँ पर मौजूद थी जो INX मीडिया केस को डील कर रही थी। तो उस टीम ने 1 बजे तक उनसे पूछताछ करी है। उसके बाद उनको सोने दिया गया है। सुबह करीब 8 साढ़े 8 के आसपास वो उठे हैं। उसके बाद उन्होंने चाय और ब्रेकफास्ट लिया है। उसके बाद 9 साढ़े 9 बजे के आसपास सीबीआई की टीम फिर दोबारा से उनके पास बैठी है और लगातार जो पूछताछ है वो उनके साथ 1 बजे तक चलती रही। 1 बजे के बाद उनको जो लंच है वो करने दिया गया है और अब हमें जो जानकारी आ रही है कि सीबीआई की जो टीम है उनसे पूछताछ कर रही है और कुछ समय के बाद जब सीबीआई की टीम पूछताछ कर लेगी, चूँकि 24 घंटे के अंदर कोर्ट के अंदर पेश करना होता है, तो उनको जो सीबीआई का स्पेशल कोर्ट है राउज एवेन्यू, वहाँ पर जो सीबीआई की टीम है पेश करेगी और वहाँ कोशिश करेगी कि ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा दिनों तक रिमांड लेने के लिए सीबीआई की टीम कोर्ट के सामने अपनी दलील देगी।
जी, और हम कुछ विजुअल्स देख रहे हैं कल के इस समय नीरज, जब बहुत ड्रामेटिक तरीके से पी चिदम्बरम कांग्रेस हेडक्वार्टर्स में उन्होंने अपीयरेंस करी और कांग्रेस लीडर्स, जो टॉप लीडर्स है राहुल गांधी, प्रियंका गांधी और बाकियों ने बहुत पैशनेटली डिफेंड किया पी चिदम्बरम को इस केस में जब कार्रवाई चल रही थी। अभी जब वो सीबीआई कोर्ट ले जाए जा रहे हैं तो कैसे स्टेटमेंट्स, कैसे स्टांस आ रहे हैं कांग्रेस लीडरशिप की तरफ से?
देखिए, बिल्कुल कांग्रेस पार्टी शुरू से ही इस स्टैंड पे थी। वो लगातार ये कह रही थी कि पी चिदम्बरम को राजनीतिक मंशा के तहत फंसाया जा रहा है, लेकिन ऐसा नहीं है, क्योंकि एक लंबी इन्वेस्टिगेशन जो हमारी सीबीआई की टीम है उसने की थी। 2017 में मामला दर्ज किया और आपको बता दें कि 27 बार कोर्ट ने इनको रिलीफ दिया है। पी चिदम्बरम को 27 बार रिलीफ दिया है, बेल दी है, लेकिन सीबीआई की तरफ से लगातार ये दलील दी जा रही थी कोर्ट के सामने कि पी चिदम्बरम है जांच में सहयोग नहीं कर रहे हैं। वो जो सवाल हैं उनके जवाब ठीक तरीके से नहीं देते, हर सवाल का जवाब नाम है या मुझे नहीं पता इस तरह से देते हैं। यही कारण है कि उनको लगातार हिरासत में लेने की बात सीबीआई की टीम ने कही। अब कांग्रेस पार्टी को ये समझना होगा कि वो करप्शन के साथ खड़ी है या करप्शन के खिलाफ खड़ी है, क्योंकि जिस तरह से लगातार राहुल गांधी, प्रियंका गांधी और कांग्रेस के तमाम बड़े लीडर, अगर हम दोनों वकीलों की बात करें, कपिल सिब्बल और अभिषेक मनु सिंघवी, वो लगातार उनके साथ।
नीरज, आप बने रहे हमारे साथ। अजय विक्रम हमसे जुड़ रहे हैं रूज एवेन्यू कोर्ट से, जो कोर्ट जहां पे पी चिदम्बरम विल बी presented by the CBI. अजय, लीगली व्हाट इज द वे फॉरवर्ड और कितनी देर में एक्सपेक्टेड है पी चिदम्बरम की पेशी?
जी बिल्कुल शुभेंदु, अभी कार्ति चिदम्बरम जो पी चिदम्बरम के बेटे हैं, जस्ट अभी वो कोर्ट परिसर में पहुंचे हैं और उनकी पत्नी भी पी चिदम्बरम की कोर्ट परिसर में पहुंची है और उनके वकील जो अभिषेक मनु सिंघवी हैं वो भी कोर्ट परिसर में आ चुके हैं। अभी मुश्किल से 5 से 10 मिनट के भीतर पी चिदम्बरम कोर्ट में पहुंचेंगे और निश्चित तौर पर अब पूरे मामले का जब यहाँ पर पेशी होगी सीबीआई कोर्ट में तो उनके रिमांड मांगने की कोशिश करेगी सीबीआई और आगे की जो कार्रवाई है वो होगी। और अभिषेक मनु सिंघवी ने अंदर जाते समय मीडिया से केवल इतना कहा कि कोर्ट की प्रोसीडिंग पूरी होने के बाद वो मीडिया के जो लोग हैं उनको बताएंगे कि क्या हुआ है। तो निश्चित तौर पर सभी की नजर इस समय लगी हुई है कि आज अदालत में जो सीबीआई की विशेष कोर्ट है क्या फैसला होता है और क्या उनको रिमांड मिलती है या फिर आगे की क्या प्रक्रिया होती है। निश्चित तौर पर सभी का यहाँ पर इंतजार है कोर्ट परिसर के बाहर। मैं अपने कैमरामैन से कहूंगा कि थोड़ा सा यहाँ के थोड़ा माहौल भी दिखाने की कोशिश करें। आप देख सकते हैं कि एक गहमा गहमी का माहौल है कोर्ट के बाहर और जो मीडिया पर्सन है उनके साथ ही साथ जो लोग हैं उनका जमावड़ा है काफी ज्यादा कोर्ट में। और पी चिदम्बरम के बेटे कार्ति चिदम्बरम और उनकी पत्नी यहाँ पर पहुंच चुकी हैं और उनके वकील भी यहाँ पर आ चुके हैं। कुछ ही पल में पी चिदम्बरम यहाँ पहुंचने वाले हैं।
जी, और अजय, जो की आर्ग्यूमेंट्स होंगी जो सीबीआई की और पी चिदम्बरम की तरफ से, कल से हमने देखा कि जब से वो अपीयरेंस उन्होंने करी कांग्रेस हेडक्वार्टर्स में, उनके जो लॉयर्स हैं और जो पार्टी के साथी हैं, कपिल सिब्बल हो, अभिषेक मनु सिंघवी हो, उनके साथ थे। वो खुद भी एक लॉयर हैं, लीगल प्रोसीजर समझते हैं। तो जो की आर्ग्यूमेंट्स अभी जो कोर्ट के सामने क्या लाइकली है सीबीआई की तरफ से और पी चिदम्बरम की तरफ से?
जी बिल्कुल, ऐसे मामलों में आमतौर पर यह होता है कि सीबीआई जब इस कोर्ट में अपनी बहस करेगी तो वो कोशिश करेगी कि चिदम्बरम की रिमांड ली जाए और उस रिमांड के बाद क्योंकि वो उस पक्ष को भी रखेगी कि वो क्यों रिमांड चाहती है। जो जांच अधूरी रही है, जांच और ज़्यादा चाहिए, वो इस बात का पक्ष रखेंगे कि उनको रिमांड में लेकर और ज़्यादा इस पूरे मामले को तफसील से समझा जाएगा और उसके बाद जो मामला है वो आगे बढ़ेगा और सीबीआई में जो कोर्ट चार्जशीट का जो मामला है वो आगे बढ़ेगा, लेकिन वो आगे की प्रक्रिया है। लेकिन जो बचाव पक्ष है वो पूरी कोशिश करेगा कि वो रिमांड न मिलने पाए और चिदम्बरम को राहत मिल जाए। जो अभिषेक मनु सिंघवी हैं उन्होंने हाई कोर्ट में भी चिदम्बरम का पक्ष रखा था और सुप्रीम कोर्ट में भी जब कोशिश की जा रही थी कि उनको राहत मिले तो कपिल सिब्बल के साथ अभिषेक मनु सिंघवी मौजूद थे। तो वो उनके वकील यहाँ पर सिंघवी उनकी वकालत करेंगे और कोशिश करेंगे कि चिदम्बरम को कोई राहत मिल पाए। लेकिन जिस तरह से सबूतों को इकट्ठा किया गया है, जिस तरह से पूरा होमवर्क किया गया है सीबीआई की तरफ से और ईडी की तरफ से, तो निश्चित तौर पर वो उन सबूतों को कोर्ट के सामने रखा जाएगा और कोशिश होगी सीबीआई की कि चिदम्बरम की रिमांड ले ली जाए।
All right. On that note, Ajay, Neeraj, thank you very much for joining us with those inputs. हम दोबारा जुड़ेंगे आपसे जब पी चिदम्बरम को कोर्ट में पेश किया जाएगा. Thanks very much for joining us. Our correspondents Neeraj and Ajay giving us update about the developments in the INX Media case in which P Chidambaram, former Union Minister and Congress leader, was arrested after much drama yesterday by the CBI. Today he's going to be presented in a short while from now at the Rouse Court in Delhi, and the CBI would like to extend the custody for further questioning. Those updates as they come, we'll be bringing them to you. Let's move on to the next big story. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has embarked on three-nation tour to France, UAE and Bahrain. Prime Minister will hold high-level meeting with the top leadership of the three nations and will also attend the G7 summit in France. In the first leg of his tour, Prime Minister Modi will arrive in Paris tonight, where he will hold bilateral meetings with President Emmanuel Macron and Prime Minister Edouard Philippe. Ahead of his departure, PM Modi said in a statement that India and France have excellent bilateral ties which are reinforced by shared vision, to cooperate, further enhancing peace and prosperity for the two countries and the world at large.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will land in France on Thursday for his first bilateral visit in his second term as PM. In the first term too, France was the first European nation that the Prime Minister visited. Within hours of landing, President Emmanuel Macron and Prime Minister Modi will hold a one-on-one meeting, followed by delegation-level talks and the signing of agreements.
We are at the beginning of the third decade of India-France strategic partnership. This is a partnership which is characterized by a very strong personal relationship between the Prime Minister of India and the President of France. It is also characterized by a very comprehensive nature of cooperation stretching across all the domains.
The next day, Prime Minister Modi will meet French Prime Minister Edouard Philippe and also address an event of the Indian community at the UNESCO headquarters in Paris. A memorial for Indian victims of two Air India flight tragic air crashes of 1950 and 1966 will also be inaugurated.
The strategic partnership between India and France has actually grown from strength to strength. We expect that during this visit, the two leaders would not only be able to undertake a comprehensive assessment of the relationship, but would also establish the timelines and the agenda for our future cooperation in coming months and years ahead.
France is a strategic partner of India. Talks between the two leaders would concentrate on further deepening this partnership between the two countries in the fields of cybersecurity, space cooperation, military cooperation, and enhancing trade and economic ties. Jatapur nuclear plant may also come up for discussion, expanding the footprint of the International Solar Alliance to include African nations may also be taken up. The personal chemistry between Prime Minister Modi and French President Macron has further cemented bilateral ties between the two nations. This was visible when PM Modi hosted President Macron in his parliamentary constituency, Varanasi, last year. Sharing the same commitment to renewable energy, the two leaders also inaugurated a solar power plant in the Mirzapur district of Uttar Pradesh during the visit. In his departure statement, Prime Minister said, "My visit to France reflects the strong strategic partnership which our two countries deeply value and share. On 22nd-23rd August 2019, I would have bilateral meetings in France, including a summit interaction with President Macron and a meeting with Prime Minister Philippe. I would also interact with the Indian community and dedicate a memorial to the Indian victims of the two Air India crashes in France in the 1950s and 1960s. Later, on 25th to 26th August, I will participate in the G7 summit meetings as Biarritz's partner at the invitation of President Macron in the sessions on environment, climate, oceans and on digital transformation." The Prime Minister said India and France have excellent bilateral ties which are reinforced by a shared vision to cooperate for further enhancing peace and prosperity for our two countries and the world at large. Our strong strategic and economic partnership is complemented by a shared perspective on major global concerns such as terrorism, climate change. I'm confident that this visit will further promote our long-standing and valued friendship with France for mutual prosperity, peace and progress. After completing his tour to the UAE and Bahrain, the Prime Minister will return to France on 25th of August, where he will attend the G7 summit as a Biarritz partner. With Shailendra Mishra in Paris, DD News.
And we'll now try and understand the significance of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's first leg of the visit, his visit to France. And remember, he'll be going back to France after visiting UAE and Bahrain as well. We'll try and understand the points. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Macron will be holding a bilateral meet. Different points that we're looking at: stronger ties in defense and maritime security is going to be the focus. Remember, Rafale jets are going to come soon, and Indo-Pacific region, the maritime region, is going to be a focal point. Digital and cyber security. The digital space offers both opportunities and challenges. The leaders will be looking at that. Importantly, at the international core of supporting India on Jammu and Kashmir issue, France is an important voice. And of course, every visit is special with the engagement with the Indian community and the closer people-to-people ties between India and France. There's also a memorial for Indian air crash victim, a plane crash victim that happened in the 50s and 60s. A special memorial will be inaugurated by Prime Minister. After visiting the three countries, Prime Minister will again return to France for the G7 meet. India is not part of G7. The special invitation extended to India by President Macron of France to India, and climate change and a digital economy are going to be some of the focus areas in which both the leaders, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Emmanuel Macron of France, are going to exchange ideas and hold close talks. My colleague Shailendra, in fact, is joining us from Paris in France. Shailendra, France is one of the closest allies that India has in the West. Just take us through the key expectations that are there. We looked at the broad picture, but the key expectations that India has from Prime Minister's visit to France first.
देखिए सुमेंदु, हम जानते हैं कि फ्रांस और भारत एक दूसरे के बहुत मजबूत सहयोगी रहे हैं, और खासतौर पर 2015 में प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जब किसी भी यूरोपीय देश में सबसे पहले फ्रांस के दौरे पर आए, तब से जो एक नई ऊर्जा आई भारत और फ्रांस के संबंधों में। दरअसल एक रणनीतिक सहयोगी के तौर पर फ्रांस और भारत ने तमाम अहम क्षेत्रों में जो सहयोग का विस्तार किया, और वैश्विक चुनौतियों में जो एक समान राय रही है फ्रांस और भारत की, वो बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है। चाहे काउंटर टेररिज्म को लेकर हो, आतंक के खिलाफ लड़ाई को लेकर हो, या फिर हम जानते हैं कि क्लाइमेट चेंज से जुड़ी जो नई चुनौतियां आई हैं, जो इंटरनेशनल सोलर अलायंस जिसमें भारत और फ्रांस मिलकर काम कर रहे हैं, और बाकी देशों में किस तरह से इन चुनौतियों से निपटा जा सकता है, उसमें भारत और फ्रांस किस तरह से आगे बढ़ सकते हैं, उन पर जिस तरह से काम हो रहा है। दरअसल सफलता इस बात को लेकर है कि जो भी एक सहमति बनी पिछले कुछ वर्षों में फ्रांस और भारत के बीच, जो फैसले हुए उनको लागू किया गया है और उन पर आगे बढ़ा गया है। तो दरअसल इस दौरे से उम्मीद यही है कि नए आयामों में, अलग अलग क्षेत्रों में किस तरह से फ्रांस और भारत के बीच सहयोग बढ़ाया जा सकता है। हम जानते हैं कि दरअसल बड़ी संख्या में भारतीय छात्र पढ़ने के लिए फ्रांस आते हैं, और अभी एक टारगेट रखा गया है कि 10,000 भारतीय छात्र हर वर्ष फ्रांस यहाँ आए पढ़ाई के लिए। तो दरअसल इस प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी के इस दौरे से तमाम उन अहम क्षेत्रों में परंपरागत जो सहयोग के क्षेत्र हैं, रक्षा हो, नौवहन क्षेत्र हो, अंतरिक्ष हो, हम जानते हैं कि अगर आप जैतापुर प्लांट की बात करें तो उसमें किस तरह से जो सहयोग को आगे बढ़ाना है, इसके साथ ही साथ जो नए क्षेत्र, जो उभरते हुए क्षेत्र उभरे हैं, उनमें किस तरह से दोनों देश आगे बढ़ सकते हैं।
शैलेंद्र, डिफेंस कोऑपरेशन की क्षेत्र में किस तरीके की एंगेजमेंट एक्सपेक्टेड है? अगर हम राफेल जेट्स की बात करें, जो कि एक्सपेक्टेशंस है कि अगले महीने तक भारत में पहुंचेगा राफेल जेट फ्रांस से, या फिर हम जो मिलिट्री एक्सरसाइजेज है, अभी कुछ ही हफ्ते पहले एयरफोर्स की, इंडियन एयरफोर्स और फ्रेंच जो एयर लीग है उनकी एक्सरसाइज, जॉइंट एक्सरसाइज हुई फ्रांस में, तो डिफेंस के क्षेत्र में किस तरीके से एंगेजमेंट को आगे बढ़ाया जा रहा है?
देखिए, निश्चित तौर पर जो द्विपक्षीय बातचीत होनी है उसमें डिफेंस एक बहुत महत्वपूर्ण सहयोग का क्षेत्र रहेगा। हम जानते हैं कि जब से भारत और फ्रांस के संबंधों को एक नए दौर में आगे बढ़ाने की शुरुआत हुई, एक रणनीतिक साझेदारी में 1998 के बाद भारत और फ्रांस आगे बढ़े, डिफेंस में काफी सहयोग आगे बढ़ा है। हम जानते हैं कि इसी साल राफेल भारत को सौंपा जाना है, और वो एक बहुत महत्वपूर्ण भारत और फ्रांस के संबंधों के बीच, रक्षा संबंधों के बीच एक बहुत महत्वपूर्ण कड़ी है। इसके साथ ही साथ दोनों देश साझा सैनिक अभ्यास पर भी आगे बढ़ते रहे हैं। तो निश्चित तौर पर जो द्विपक्षीय बातचीत होगी उसमें डिफेंस एक बहुत महत्वपूर्ण बिंदु होगा कि किस तरह से हम जानते हैं कि भारत मेक इन इंडिया को लेकर आगे बढ़ रहा है। भारत खुद तमाम साजो सामान बनाने की दिशा में आगे बढ़ रहा है, और फ्रांस उसमें एक अहम साझेदार हो सकता है। जो डिफेंस कॉरिडोर भारत में बनाए जा रहे हैं, तो निश्चित तौर पर वो एक अहम बुंद रहने वाला है। इसके साथ ही साथ अंतरिक्ष सहयोग को लेकर भी भारत और फ्रांस के बीच अहम बातचीत हो सकती है। जी
शैलेंद्र, अगर हम क्लाइमेट चेंज की बात करें, भले ही वो पेरिस क्लाइमेट पैक्ट हो या फिर इंटरनेशनल सोलर अलायंस हो, भारत और जो फ्रांस है ये बहुत प्रमुख मेंबर्स हैं, लीडिंग वॉइसेस हैं उस दिशा में। उसको किस तरीके से आगे बढ़ाया जाएगा? G7 में हमें मालूम है जब भारत एक स्पेशल पार्टनर नेशन की तरह पार्टिसिपेट करेगा, वहां पे भी जो क्लाइमेट चेंज है वो एक प्रमुख मुद्दा है।
जी बिल्कुल, G7 के जिस सत्र में उम्मीद है प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी अपनी अहम बातचीत रखने वाले हैं। तो उसमें निश्चित तौर पर क्लाइमेट चेंज एक बहुत महत्वपूर्ण इस बार मुद्दा रहने वाला है G7 की बैठक में। हम जानते हैं कि 2015 में जब प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी फ्रांस के दौरे पर आए थे, उस वक्त भी क्लाइमेट चेंज पर भारत और फ्रांस के सहयोग को आगे बढ़ाने की दिशा में चर्चा हुई थी और जो इंटरनेशनल सोलर अलायंस हुआ, जिसमें अब भारत और फ्रांस दुनिया के बाकी देशों में किस तरह से आपस में मिलकर क्लाइमेट चेंज की चुनौतियों से निपट सकते हैं, सौर ऊर्जा को लेकर क्या प्रगति हो सकती है जिससे क्लाइमेट चेंज की चुनौतियों को निपटा जा सके, उस ओर देख रहे हैं। खासतौर पर अफ्रीका के देशों में सौर ऊर्जा में किस तरह से विस्तार किया जा सकता है और उसमें भारत और फ्रांस की क्या भूमिका हो सकती है। तो दरअसल न केवल भारत और फ्रांस में बल्कि दुनिया भर में जो एक क्लाइमेट चेंज की जो चुनौतियां हैं उसको लेकर दोनों देश मिलकर क्या सहयोग कर सकते हैं, खासतौर में सौर ऊर्जा में, उस पर बातचीत होने की उम्मीद है और उस सहयोग को आगे बढ़ाए जाने की उम्मीद है।
जी शैलेंद्र, और संक्षिप्त में बताइएगा, जो पीपल टू पीपल कनेक्ट है, ये बहुत खास हिस्सा होता है प्रधानमंत्री मोदी के किसी भी विदेश दौरे का। तो कुछ मेमोरियल भी वहाँ पे शायद उसका उद्घाटन होगा, जो एयर क्रैश विक्टिम्स थे, थोड़ा उसके बारे में बताएं। वहाँ क्या प्रोग्राम होगा जिसमें कि पीपल टू पीपल कनेक्ट को पुश मिलेगा?
देखिए, 1950 और 1960 के दशक में 2 विमान हादसे हुए थे और बड़ी संख्या में लोगों की मौत हुई थी। और उसमें 1966 का जो विमान हादसा हुआ था, उसमें भारत के महान वैज्ञानिक होमी जहांगीर बाबा की भी मौत हुई थी। तो ऐसे में इन मारे गए लोगों की याद में एक मेमोरियल बनाया गया है यहाँ फ्रांस में, और उसका अनावरण प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी अपने दौरे के दौरान करने वाले हैं यूनेस्को भवन से, जहाँ पर पीपल टू पीपल कांटेक्ट में सीधे जनता से मुखातिब होंगे। करीब 2000 ज्यादा लोगों ने रजिस्ट्रेशन कराया है। जो सभागार है उसकी क्षमता से भी ज्यादा लोगों ने रजिस्ट्रेशन कराया और बहुत उत्सुक हैं प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी को सुनने के लिए। तो निश्चित तौर पर बहुत अहम दौरा इस लिहाज से भी कि जो तमाम भारतीय समुदाय के लोग यहाँ पर फ्रांस में रहते हैं, न केवल पेरिस बल्कि दूर दराज से लोग प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी को सुनने यहाँ यूनेस्को सभागार में आएंगे।
शैलेंद्र, बहुत धन्यवाद आपका इन अपडेट्स के साथ हमसे जुड़ने के लिए। माय कॉलीग शैलेंद्र मिश्रा गिविंग अस अपडेट्स फ्रॉम Paris. He's covering Prime Minister's visit, and he said that the host of issues in focus when the two leaders, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and French President Emmanuel Macron, hold talks. There is defense, there is climate change, focus also on cyber security, and of course a special aspect will be people-to-people ties. Prime Minister's first stop is going to be France, then he's going to go to UAE, Bahrain, then again return to France to attend the G7 meet where India is participating as a special participant. Is an invitation by the French President to PM Modi. Moving on, in another setback for Pakistan's attempts to internationalize the Kashmir issue, UK, France and Bangladesh have come forward to support India in its historic decision on Jammu and Kashmir's special status. In fact, ahead of Prime Minister Modi's France visit, French Foreign Minister said that Kashmir issue is a bilateral issue between the two countries.
Many nations continue to extend support to India's stand on the Kashmir issue, so much so that Pakistan finds itself isolated yet again. After United Kingdom, France has said that Kashmir is a bilateral issue between India and Pakistan. French Foreign Minister Drian's remarks came as his Pakistani counterpart Shah Mahmood Qureshi called him on Tuesday to discuss the situation in Kashmir after India revoked the special status for Jammu and Kashmir. According to the French Foreign Ministry, Drian recalled France's constant position on Kashmir that it is up to the two countries under the framework of the bilateral political dialogue to resolve this dispute so as to establish lasting peace. France makes a call to the parties for restraint, de-escalation and easing the situation. It is essential to abstain from any measure likely to aggravate tensions, said the statement. Bangladesh too has echoed France's stand that abrogation of Article 370 by the Indian government is an internal issue of India. Bangladesh's reaction on the issue came a day after External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar met Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. In a statement, it said, Bangladesh maintains that the abrogation of Article 370 by the Indian government is an internal issue of India. Bangladesh has always advocated as a matter of principle that maintaining regional peace and stability as well as development should be a priority for all countries. In a phone conversation between Prime Minister Modi, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson categorically said that Jammu and Kashmir issue is an internal matter of India and Pakistan. Spokesperson of 10 Downing Street in a statement said, Prime Minister and Prime Minister Modi discussed the current situation in Kashmir. The Prime Minister made it clear that United Kingdom's views on the issue of Kashmir as one for India and Pakistan to resolve bilaterally. He underlined the importance of resolving issues through dialogue. Various other countries including Russia, Maldives, Afghanistan, UAE and Sri Lanka have backed India and condemned Pakistan's position on Article 370. Pakistan's call for mediation on the Kashmir issue continues to fall on deaf ears. DD India.
Let's look at some other stories now. Maharashtra Navnirman Sena, that's MNS Chief Raj Thackeray, appeared before Enforcement Directorate in South Mumbai for questioning in the IL&FS investigation, even as police threw a security ring in the area. The MNS chief was summoned by the ED in connection with its probe into the alleged irregularities relating to loans and equity investment worth over 450 crore rupees by IL&FS in Kohinoor CTNL Infrastructure Company. Earlier, Raj Thackeray had said that he had faced such notices from government agencies and courts in the past and has honoured them, and he was going to honour the ED notice as well. And my colleague Yogesh Sheetal is joining us from Mumbai with more updates. Yogesh, just take us through what this case is involving Raj Thackeray.
So there, also his two friends, Rajan Shirorkar and also one Unmesh Joshi, who is the son of the former Maharashtra CM Manohar Joshi. Now the thing is, this is entirely a matter of giving loan on not on concrete basis, because it is said that the company that was defaulted also provided loan by the IL&FS. Now the thing is, now currently what's happening at this point in time, let me tell you that ED had summoned Unmesh Joshi first, and Unmesh Joshi had already been questioned, and now Raj Thackeray is being questioned inside the Zonal office of the Enforcement Directorate, where I am standing right now. What remains to be seen is that ED will question Raj Thackeray, and then whatever answers ED received, that will be related to the earlier answers given by the other accused in this case, and now then a final outcome will be there. The questionings has started since 11:30 in the morning, and it's been 3 hours. Questionings are still underway.
Okay.
It remains to be seen that how much time it will take. But as far as the case is concerned, the case is basically concerned on the money laundering, and also the way whether it is quid pro quo involved in this case, whether it is some regulations which are the violations of some regulations of some different provisions. So there are many things that are under the scanner of the ED at this point in time. Yeah.
Right, Yogesh, also there was apprehension of unrest by the MNS cadre in previous experiences in the past. On that front, we see a security cover, thick security cover. What is the update on that front?
The adequate security covers already provided on the different reasons where there was an apprehension that there may be some concern on law and order, like the 4 police jurisdictions like Marine Drive and also South Mumbai, Kolava, where I am staying right now, and also the other regions which were considered very sensitive, because it was expected that MNS workers and MNS supporters might create some trouble or might create some obstacles in the proceeding. Now the thing is, the way coming to the ED office where I am staying right now, the adjoining areas, there are heavy police deployments there. There are barricades. There are additional deployments to maintain law and order. And as of now, there's no no reports of any kind of violations of law and order. However, some MNS supporters have been detained as precautionary measure, because 144 of CRPC has already been implemented there. So these are the basic things. There's no no reports of law and order violations any part of the Mumbai as of now.
All right, yes. Yogesh, there, appreciate you joining us with those inputs from Mumbai. The 24th Western Zonal Council meeting, which took place in Panjim today under chairmanship of Union Home Minister Amit Shah, Chief Ministers of Gujarat, Maharashtra and Goa, and administrators of Daman and Diu and Dadar and Nagar Haveli Union Territories also attended the day-long meeting. The Western Council is a forum for the centre and the states to cooperate and exchange ideas and experiences on issues related to health, security and social welfare. The Goa Chief Minister is the Vice Chairperson and host of the event this time. During the meeting, Union Home Minister proposed major police, law and order reforms like linking case investigation with ACR of police officials. These also include completion of investigation within a period of 60 days, among other, ensuring narcotics bureau coordination among states and centre, and zero tolerance in drugs were also important issues that were taken up. Appointment of Director of Prosecution in each state will be expedited, and Centre will issue guidelines on that soon. And my colleague Ravi Raj is joining us on phone line from Panjim. Ravi Raj, important example of cooperative federalism, the zonal meet. Just tell us once again about the focus and the key agenda of this meeting.
Yeah, Shubhendu, focus was obviously center-state coordination was in this meeting. First of all, Home Minister took the review of total number of unbanked villages in the Western Zone.
Okay.
So after that, Home Minister took meeting. In the meeting, Postal Department was also present. Bank representative, RBI representative was also present. So Home Minister specifically told that by the end of the tenure of this government, by like 2024, government wants to have banking extension in each village. He particularly told that banking extension means he wants to have the person to withdrawal and deposit facility in bank, not only bank mitras. That was a major decision taken by this council, and it will be applicable to whole country, not Western Zone only.
Right.
And second thing important was law and order. This is a state issue. Law and order comes under state list as per our constitution. So Union Home Minister has proposed that investigation percentage is means the investigation is very slow as per the data which was discussed in the meeting. So Union Home Minister proposed that why don't we link the ACR of police investigating officer to investigating time, and time proposed was within 60 days the investigating officer has to finish the investigation. So on that front also one good proposal was done by Home Minister. And another thing was the public prosecutors generally takes further dates in the courts. So it delays the court proceedings, and year and year the cases are going in the courts. In that case, Home Minister has proposed that each state has to expedite the appointment of Director of Prosecution, and they have to coordinate that these cases should be expedited, and he hoped that 20 to 30% increase in prosecution of cases will be happen after this step.
All right there, Raviraj, thanks very much for joining us with those updates from the Western Zonal meet that has been headed by Home Minister Amit Shah. Moving on, in Jammu and Kashmir, the situation is peaceful across the state and the region, especially Kashmir Valley, where restrictions have been eased in more and more areas. People are returning to normal life as more and more schools and education institutions reopen in the region. Srinagar Airport, Srinagar Jammu National Highway are operating normally. Attendance at government offices has also improved. Attendance of students and teachers is increasing by the day. Bustling marketplaces in the region present testimony to improving conditions. Telephone services have also been restored to a great extent in the region. Meanwhile, security forces are keeping a close tab on the situation in the valley. And signs of normalcy in those visuals. School children have got back to their studies as more and more schools have opened in the region. Union Transport Minister Nitin Gadkari launched a new website of Ministry of Road Transports and Highways in Delhi. The revamped website will be important to share critical information about the ministry and its policies. On the occasion, Union Minister Nitin Gadkari said that 63 clauses of Motor Vehicle Act will be implemented from September 1st, in which penalties will be increased in cases of drunk driving, over speeding and overloading. He also added that rupees 14,000 crore project is prepared by government to identify accident black spots in the country and plug the gaps in the highways.
अब 1 सितंबर से हमने कार्रवाई करने का निर्णय किया है। ये 63 क्लॉज है, इसमें से पेनल्टीज बढ़ाई है। फिर जैसे दारू पीकर चलाना, फिर ओवर स्पीड से चलाना, बेल्ट नहीं लगाना, हेलमेट नहीं पहनना, फिर वो ओवरलोडिंग है, इस प्रकार की जो ड्रंक एंड ड्राइविंग का है, बाकी सब उसमें जो है उसका सज़ा यानी फाइन्स बढ़ाया है। हमने 14,000 करोड़ का एक प्लान बनाया है, उसमें 7,000 करोड़ एडीबी से और 7,000 करोड़ वर्ल्ड बैंक से। तो एडीबी ने हमको प्रिंसिपली अप्रूवल लेटर दे दिया है और वर्ल्ड बैंक का भी शायद एक्सपेक्टेड है। तो ये 14,000 करोड़ हम केवल नेशनल हाईवे पे नहीं खर्चा करेंगे, ये 14,000 करोड़ स्टेट रोड, म्यूनिसिपल रोड, डिस्ट्रिक्ट रोड, इसमें जो जो ब्लैक स्पॉट्स आइडेंटिफाई होंगे उन ब्लैक स्पॉट्स को हम लोग सुधारने के लिए राज्य सरकार के सहयोग से ये 14,000 करोड़ का कार्यक्रम हमने बनाया।
And on second and final day of his Nepal visit, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar paid a courtesy call to President Vidya Devi Bhandari at Kathmandu this morning. Nepal's Foreign Secretary Shankar Das Bairagi, Indian Ambassador to Nepal Manjeev Singh Puri, and Nepal's Ambassador to India Nilambar Acharya were also present on the occasion. Earlier, Dr. Jaishankar and his Nepalese counterpart Pradeep Kumar Kewali co-chaired the 5th meeting of India-Nepal Joint Commission yesterday. In a tweet message, Dr. Jaishankar said discussions were productive. He said Joint Commission comprehensively reviewed bilateral relations and identified areas for cooperation. According to a press release issued by Nepal's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the main focus was on connectivity and economic partnership, trade and transit, power and water resources, and culture and education. The Commission also expressed happiness over momentum generated in overall aspects of Nepal-India relations following exchange of high-level visits in the last 2 years. Let's now look at what's making news across the world. South Korea's Deputy National Security Advisor Kim Hyung-chong today said that he expects US-North Korea dialogue to unfold soon and go well. In comments made after meeting US envoy for North Korea, Stephen Biegun, in Seoul, Kim added that South Korea will hold a National Security Council meeting later today to discuss an intelligence sharing pact with Japan, which South Korea had threatened to scrap amid a spiraling diplomatic and trade spat. The General Security of Military Information Agreement could expire on August 24th if either side decides not to roll it over. Meanwhile, escalating an international spat, US President Donald Trump has said he scrapped his trip to Denmark because the Prime Minister made a nasty statement when she rejected his idea to buy Greenland as an absurdity. The Danish Prime Minister has called the whole thing an absurd discussion, said that she was disappointed and surprised that Trump had cancelled his visit. Trump said Danish PM's comment, labeling his idea as absurd, was nasty. Greenland is a semi-autonomous territory of the US ally, and the Danish Prime Minister said that US remains one of Denmark's close allies. Global warming is making Greenland more accessible to potential oil and mineral resources. Trump was scheduled to visit Denmark on September 2nd and 3rd as part of a European tour. But early on Wednesday, he tweeted his decision to indefinitely postpone the trip. Sudan's new Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok was sworn in on Wednesday as leader of the transitional government and vowed to make and achieve peace and solve the country's economic crisis and make it a priority. The appointment of the renowned economist came as General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, the outgoing head of the military council, was sworn in as leader of the new sovereign council that will run the country for 3 years until an election after decades of autocratic rule takes place. Burhan and other military officers overthrew veteran leader Omar Hassan al-Bashir in April in response to months of protest over economic hardship and dictatorship. The composition of the 11-member sovereign council that will run the country for the transition period, superseding the military council, which has been disbanded, was completed on Tuesday. 9 members of the council were sworn in about a couple of hours after Burhan took the oath on Wednesday. Time now for all the updates from the world of business and finance. My colleague Preeti is joining us now. Preeti, over to you.
Yes, thank you, Shubhendu. First, we'll talk of the markets. The Sensex and Nifty made a mild recovery in the afternoon trade today, led by gains in the IT heavyweights. The Sensex is down by about 168 points to 36,892, while the Nifty is trading below the 10,900 mark. Yes Bank, VEDL, IndusInd Bank were among the biggest losers, shedding more than up to 8%. Now, TCS, HUL and Tech Mahindra were among the biggest gainers, jumping up to 2%. And DLF Limited, India's largest real estate developer by market value, fell close to 20% after Supreme Court issued notice on the non-disclosure of key information on QIP. The Supreme Court had issued a notice to DLF based on a petition that highlighted how it had suppressed key information regarding judicial proceedings against its largest chunk of land bank in Haryana. DLF shares have been facing a downfall for the past 52 weeks. The company was found in a similar spot 3 years back when the promoters were prohibited from raising money through the markets on account of non-disclosure of key information. And we are joined in by Mr. Venkat Rao, advocate. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us on DD News. To begin with, evaluate for us the implications of this downfall which has been witnessed in the DLF shares, given the way how Supreme Court has issued a notice.
Well, see, it's like the disclosures is the at the heart of the entire offer, and this is one of the core things that the investors need to be aware of. Any risk that may be associated with the investments, and therefore SEBI has got this elaborate mechanism of disclosures to be made, and any risk associated with such in instances are usually captured in the risk factors, and so that informed decisions could be made by the investors. Now, if something like this, which is being alleged, has come up, naturally investors turn to be a little jittery on the, if at all any risk that may be associated with such kind of a fallout would naturally will have a great impact on the company's performance. So naturally, in such situations, there usually is a fall. While having said that, invariably there are enough checks and balances. Even in case of QIPs, there is a complete diligence done, and such large issues, there are informed investors, especially qualified institutional investors, are those who have a complete team which evaluates. So naturally, there is enough checks and balances. The fallout is something of more of a knee-jerk reaction at this point in time.
All right, but then what do you make of the whole issue? Because this is not the first time that we're seeing the company on a downfall. 3 years back also it was on the same spot. It was in a same spot. Now, when we talk of the legal repercussions, what are the legal repercussions in such cases as you talk of the risk factor also?
So let's understand. See, for instance, 1A would be whatever, if you specifically in this matter, the kind of land bank that we are talking of, and land bank is a high value land bank, and in case of any adverse orders of the nature that is being looked into, and primarily real estate would have fallouts at various levels.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Thank you so much.
naturally, that risk is pretty large. So people would get little, investors would get little jittery about it.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for joining us with those inputs. So that was Mr. Venkat Rao, advocate, joining us in Midday Prime. That's it. When we talk of business up next, we'll have rest of the Midday Prime with Shubhendu.
Thanks very much, Preeti, for joining us with those inputs. And now in the special good news dose of the day, let's tell you about a school that is giving wings to the aspirations of students. Here, all students get equal opportunities and are armed with confidence. The students are ready to contribute to national development. Here's more.
Even though the right to education law is applicable across the country, underprivileged children are yet to enjoy its full benefits. Several individuals and organizations are trying to take the light of education to such children. Prayas School of Raipur is one such organization. It offers free education to children and lays emphasis on co-curricular activities and sports for their all-round development.
इन लोग एक से एक अभी आगे बढ़ते जा रहे हैं। इन लोगों का भी रिजल्ट में इतने ज़्यादा प्रोग्रेस हुआ है, ये लोग खुद कि इनके पेरेंट्स भी आकर बोलते हैं कि हमारे बच्चे यहाँ आकर काफ़ी सुधर गए हैं।
Children across all ages and religions study at the school. Classes are organized for students of all ages. The school also focuses on preparing the students for competitive examinations, with several students taking police examination training and English coaching in the school.
Prayas is an institute where rich, poor, all kind of students are given free education for his future. Children who are financially inadequate, those are helped.
जिस दिन एग्ज़ाम था उसी दिन सुबह आया था, यहाँ पढ़ाई भी की और अच्छे नंबर भी आए उस एग्ज़ाम में, और मेरे एग्ज़ाम में 96.6% आए थे, तो यहाँ आके मुझे पढ़ने में आसानी हुई और भैया और पुलिस परिवार विभाग ने भी अच्छी मदद की।
मेरे पापा ऐसे मजदूरी करते हैं और मैं यहाँ आती हूँ पढ़ने के लिए, तो फिर यहाँ मेरे को बहुत अच्छा लगता है और अच्छे से पढ़ाई भी होते हैं, और पुलिस चाचू लोग, पुलिस परिवार पूरा हमारी हेल्प करते हैं।
The manager of the school, Hamesh Netam, along with his wife, run the school's operations. Children enjoy studying here as they get a homely atmosphere. Organizations like Prayas offer hope that the light of education can travel across the country, cover all children irrespective of their backgrounds, and empower a young generation with the power of knowledge. Bureau Report, DD News.
Inspiring effort there for the future of the country. Time now for all the action from the world of sports. My colleague Narayan is joining us now. Narayan, India-West Indies test set to begin. What is the latest?
Thanks, Shivenu. It's time for the new beginning for India and West Indies as they get started with their ICC World Test Championship campaigns. First test of the two test series will be played between India and West Indies under ICC World Test Championships at Sir Vivian Richards Stadium in North Sound today. It's been a while since the both sides played twice. India's last test series was in January, while West Indies was a month later. Since then, both the sides have switched focus to shorter format, with the Indian Premier League and the World Cup talking bulk of the time. All top stars are in action in today. Two-time silver medalist PV Sindhu kept her fight for the first gold medal at the BWF World Championships alive after registering clinical straight games victory over Pa Yu Po of Chinese Taipei in the second round of the women's singles event on Wednesday. After getting a bye in the opening round of the competition, Sindhu defeated Pai 21-14, 20-14 in the second round match that lasted for 42 minutes. Sindhu will next face Zhang Buin of America in the round of 16 in what will be their 18th meeting. Meanwhile, Saina Nehwal defeated Netherlands' Soraya Wist in the second round of the World Badminton Championships. The 8th seeds Indian defeated Dutch opponent quite easily 21-10, 21-11 to book her place in the quarterfinals of the tournament. Meanwhile, in men's single, Kidambi Shrikant though did not have such an easy road. He came back from behind to beat Misha Zilberman of Israel 13-21, 21-12, 21-16. That's all from the sporting arena. For rest of the news, back to you, Shubhendu.
Great, Narayan. Thanks very much for joining us with those inputs. Let's now find out what's in store in Live Prime today. Now, as Madras or Chennai celebrates its 380th Foundation Day today, people on Twitter cheered these 380 years of Madras in different manners. Some called Chennai a name and Madras an emotion. Some shared pictures of their favorite places in Madras and the nostalgia the name brings to them. The city, initially called Chenna Pattanam and Madras Pattanam, soon became Madras, and then, as we know it now, Chennai. It was founded on August 22nd, 1639. The idea to mark Madras Day celebrations was started by Chennai Heritage Foundation in the year 2004. The celebration comprises events such as heritage and food walks, public talks, exhibitions, poetry, public performances and special programs on local radio. A heartwarming update from New Zealand. New Zealand House of Representatives welcomed its youngest guest ever as Speaker Trevor Mallard held bottle-fed Labour MP Tamati Coffey's new baby boy while presiding over a House debate on Wednesday. Baby Tutunekai Smith Coffey, the son of Labour MP Tamati Coffey, and his husband Tim Smith blissfully drank his bottle of milk while being rocked back and forth in Mallard's arms. New Zealand media reported that baby Tutunekai was born on July 10th via a surrogate mother. Mumbai Group 5 Unbeatable is one step closer to their dream of winning America's Got Talent as the Indian dance crew has smashed into the semi-finals of this global program thanks to their spectacular performance that received standing ovation from the judges in the quarterfinals episode. Out of the 12 acts, only 7 acts moved to the semi-finals round, and selection of the Unbeatable for the next round was not hard to guess considering the response they got in their latest performance. In the quarterfinals, the judges were left gasping for breath after Mumbai dance group amazed them with their unbelievable acrobatic moves and energy level. The Unbeatable has been impressing ever since the audition round of this global reality show. They set the stage on fire with Malhari. And with that, we conclude this edition of Midday Prime. News and updates continue after a short break. Namaskar.